The concept of duende has always hovered at the edge of American imagination, like a shadow you notice only when the light shifts, a force that's impossible to define, yet impossible to ignore, and in this script we follow that force as if it were a pulse running under the skin of every artist, every wanderer, every solitary thinker walking through the quiet corners of the United States, trying to understand why something they cannot name keeps tugging at their inner world, drawing them toward a feeling that is equal parts beauty, terror, grief, longing, and revelation. Because duende isn't just a word borrowed from Spanish folklore or Lorca's poetic lectures. It's a raw emotional eruption, a dark spark that wakes up the soul and demands honesty with a violence so gentle it feels like heartbreak and resurrection happening at the exact same moment. And perhaps the best way to unfold it is to step into the life of a young American writer named Jordan Hale, who grew up in the humid, neon-soaked nights of New Orleans, a place already saturated with ghosts, jazz, history, heat, and a restless spiritual pressure that presses on the chest like invisible fingers. And Jordan always felt that peculiar energy even before they had a name for it, sensing that something in the city breathed with them, pulsed with them, cried with them, making their earliest memories feel dreamlike. Church choirs echoing behind cracked wooden doors, saxophones wailing from balconies at 2 a.m., river fog curling around street lamps like pale hands, and Jordan wandering through it all as if every corner carried a secret waiting for the brave or foolish to touch it. By the time Jordan left for college in Chicago, they already knew that the world was divided into people who feel things quietly and people who feel things violently, and Jordan was definitely the second type, experiencing every disappointment like a personal earthquake and every moment of beauty like a meteor shower exploding behind their ribs. But Chicago brought a different kind of coldness, not just in weather, but in people, fast, efficient, emotionally guarded, and Jordan, yearning for connection, buried themselves in poetry workshops where professors spoke about structure, clarity, form, and rhythm, yet none of that academic precision ever satisfied the burning ache Jordan carried. Until one night, a visiting guest lecturer, an elderly Spanish-American poet named Isabel Carranza, stepped into the classroom with silver hair tied in a low braid and a voice worn down by decades of speaking to the invisible, and she introduced them to the word duende. Not with a definition, but with a silence, a pause so deep the entire room felt like it was inhaling at once. And Isabel said, "Duende is the moment you stop writing with your mind and begin writing with your wound." And that one sentence sliced Jordan open, because they had wounds, unspoken, heavy, festering beneath the calm exterior they tried to maintain. In a city that rewarded emotional neutrality, wounds from a childhood touched by abandonment, from friendships that dissolved like smoke, from nights when creativity felt like both a blessing and a punishment, and hearing the word duende felt like meeting the ghost responsible for every sleepless night spent staring at a blank page. So Jordan became obsessed, devouring books, poring over Lorca's lecture on the duende, watching live flamenco performances online at 3 a.m., studying how the dancer's face twisted from sorrow to fire to defiance in seconds, how the guitarists dragged aching notes out of their strings as though the instrument was confessing sins. And Jordan wondered how such intensity could be carried into American art, American storytelling, American identity, until slowly Jordan realized the truth. Duende wasn't a cultural artifact to be imported. It was a universal force that only reveals itself to those willing to stand at the edge of their own emotional cliff. After graduation, Jordan returned to New Orleans, hoping the city would help them unlock the rawness they longed to write from. But they found it changed, tourist-heavy, faster, noisier, and Jordan felt lost until a stormy evening when a blackout swept through the French Quarter, plunging everything into a velvet darkness, broken only by flickering candles in windows, and Jordan, unable to sleep, drifted outside and walked toward the riverfront where the Mississippi moved like a massive dark creature, alive and ancient, and beneath the distant roll of thunder, Jordan felt something stirring in the air. Not fear, but invitation, as if the night wanted something from them. There, sitting alone on the wet stone steps, Jordan whispered the questions they had been too afraid to ask. Why does my creativity feel dead? Why do my words taste like dust? Why do I feel alive only when I am in pain? And the wind rose with a sharpness that made Jordan flinch, as though the night was answering back. And in that moment, Jordan realized